On that day the number came before the king of those slain in Shushan, everything. The palace count was brought to light. 500 men had lost the fight. In Shushan's walls the battle raged. Justice finally got uncaged. The king sat waiting for the news of what became of all the Jews. The number came before his throne. Every life was counted, known in the palace Shushan's gate. 500 met their fate, the tally of that fateful day when the Jews were not the prey. None of them would be missed. Parshandatha was the first to fall, then his brothers one and all. The counting clerk wrote every name of those who played the deadly game. Brought the scroll before the king to show him what the day did bring. Numbers tell the story clear of what happens when you persevere. Different from our own. He protects what he has sown. The king received the palace count, every death a full amount. 500 in the citadel where Haman's hatred used to dwell. But this was just the palace score. Throughout the provinces were more. The numbers showed the tables turned, the lesson that the kingdom learned. Yeah. Each number was a life that planned to wipe out Jews from the land. But now they're counted, now they're done. The battle lost that they begun. Fell, the records have the tale to tell. When God reverses the decree, the count shows victory. Then Harbon of the Chamberlain spoke out, "Behold, there's something you should know about. The gallows 50 cubits high, that a mama built to watch men die, standing in his house today, made for Mordecai to pay, the very man who saved your throne. Herman wanted his life gone. 50 cubits high it stands, built by Herman's wicked hands. For the man who saved the king, now let him on feel its sting. Hang him on it, the king cried, let him taste his own dark pride. Harbona saw his perfect chance to speak the truth with just one glance. The timing couldn't be more right to bring that gallows into light. The man who spoke good for the king, Haman wanted him to swing. The irony was sharp and clear. Haman's face went wide with fear. The trap you set for someone else becomes the judgment of yourself. The pit you dig for righteous men will be your grave. Amen, amen, amen. The king's rage burned like wildfire bright. Hang him there before tonight. The gallows a man built with care would hold his body swinging there. 50 cubits reaching high where he thought Mordecai would die. But God reversed the wicked plan. The gallows took the guilty man. They let him out. No more power, no more cloud. To the very wood he chose, where his own life would close. The carpenter who built that tree never knew who it would be that would hang upon those beams. God was working through the schemes. Harbona's words sealed the fate of the man consumed with hate. 50 cubits high and strong, built for right but used for wrong. The gallows meant for godly men caught the schemer in the end. What you sow is what you reap. Haman fell to judgment deep. Fell to judgment deep. And the king loved Esther above all the rest. Of all the virgins, she pleased him best. Grace and favor filled her eyes, more than beauty, more than prize. She obtained what none could win, not by trying from within. The royal crown upon her head, where Vashti once had tread. And she found favor, she found grace. In the king's sight took her place. Above all women in the land, chosen by God's sovereign hand, not by might, not by her own grace. grace lifted her to the throne. Hundreds came with perfume sweet, but Esther made his heart skip beat not because she played a part. God had touched the sovereign's heart. Mordecai told her, don't reveal, but favor no one could conceal. The orphan girl became the queen, greatest favor ever seen. When God decides to lift you high, no earthly power can deny. She walked in soft, but heaven roared. Every step by God was scored. No jewel or gold could match her worth, not because of noble birth, but purpose hidden in her veins for such a time. Through joy and pains, the king saw beauty that was true, but God saw what she'd go through, made her queen to save them all. When Haman's edict made the call, instead of Vashti, she now stood, not just for her, for greater good. The crown she wore was not her own, but for her people to be shown that God can take the lowest low, place them where His grace will flow. An orphan Jewish girl made queen, greatest reversal ever seen. He sees the heart, not just the eyes, lifts the humble to the skies. Esther's crown was heaven's plan, not the choosing of a man. Above all women, she was blessed, not for her, but for the rest.
Esther spoke through Hadad, saying clear, everyone knows the law we fear. Man or woman, it don't matter who. Step inside without being called, you're through. One law for all, the sentence death, unless the king extends his golden breath. The scepter raised means you can live. Without it, there's no mercy to give. 30 days since he called my name, 30 nights of wandering shame. The golden scepter or the grave, which one will this husband gave? I'm not summoned, I'm not called. One wrong step and I will fall. All the provinces know this rule. Enter uninvited, you're a fool. The inner court's forbidden ground, where broken laws and death are found. Mordecai, you're asking me to gamble with mortality. These 30 days of silence tell, maybe his love for me fell. The law don't bend for queen or slave. One path to throne, one to grave. can't protect from death's caress. You say my people need me now, but this law won't bend above the king's own wife. But still I shake, knowing what is here at stake. Vashti lost her crown before. I might lose my life and more. 30 days of being ignored makes me wonder if I'm still adored. Between my people and my life, between being queen and being wife, the golden scepter stands between. The bravest act I've ever seen. Hatred's telling that I know, but fear won't easily let go. This Persian law carved in stone says I can't approach the throne. 30 days, a royal silence speaks, while genocide of Jews he seeks. The inner court awaits my choice. Will death or mercy find my voice? Golden scepter stretched to me, or this queen will cease to be.
Jews gathered in every city strong to lay hand on those who done them wrong. Throughout the provinces of the king, ready for what the day would bring. No man could stand before their face, for the fear of them filled every place. The hunters now became the prey. On this 13th judgment day, the fear of them fell on all, from the mighty to the small. No one could withstand their power, and at God-appointed hour, what was meant for their defeat turned to victory complete. In every province, every town, the Jews stood up, wouldn't back down. Those who sought their hurt before now couldn't fight them anymore. The fear of God was in their eyes as the Jews began to rise, united strong in every street, making their defense complete. To hide, but to defend, bringing Haman's plot to end. The same cities where they cried now saw them standing side by side. No weapon form could prosper here when God's own people appeared. The fear wasn't from sword or spear, but something deeper, something clear. The Lord of hosts
was on their side. No enemy could stem their tide. They gathered strength from unity, protected by the king's decree. But more than law or royal seal, God's presence they could feel. No man could withstand that day when the fear fell every way. The Jews assembled in their might. Darkness couldn't stand the light. From victims unto victors turned. The lesson that the nations learned: when God reverses the decree, His people walk in victory.
King said, "Wilt thou, Queen Esther dear, what is thy request? Come draw near, even to the half of my kingdom wide. It shall be given, I won't hide." The golden scepter touched her hand. She lived to make her stand. Death passed over like a cloud. Now the king speaks clear and loud. Tell me, what is on your mind? Queen Esther, what's your plea? Anything you ask of me. The moment came, the door swung wide, but wisdom said to wait and bide. Standing in her royal best, heart still pounding in her chest, the king's eyes saw, his voice so warm, different from his usual form. What troubles you to risk your life? Tell me truly, my dear wife, half the kingdom ain't too much if you need it for your touch. But Esther, why she held her tongue? The real request had not yet come. Come to dinner, bring her mine unto. That's all she said, but she knew what to do. The king could see something deeper here. Why would his queen approach in fear? Just for dinner, that can't be all. Something bigger made her call, but he trusts her, lets her lead. Knows she'll tell him what she needs. Have my kingdom, he repeats again. Whatever helps you ease your pain. 3 days of fasting brought her here, through the valley of her fear. Now favor flows like golden wine, the king's heart beating into thine. She could ask for Haman's head, but she waits for wine and bread. Sometimes wisdom means to wait, even when you hold checkmate. What is thy petition, queen? The kindest word she's ever seen. Half the kingdom offered free, but she's planning carefully. Tomorrow's feast will tell it all. Tonight just set the stage for fall.
written in the book, how Mordecai saved the king with just one look. Big Thailand terrorists at the door, planning murder, wanting war. Two chamberlains who kept the gate filled their hearts with royal hate. But Mordecai heard their wicked plan, told Queen Esther save the man. On that sleepless night divine, God was turning back through time. What was written now was read, saving Mordecai's faithful head. The chronicles remember well what the king forgot to tell. The king couldn't sleep, tossed and turned, bring the records, his mind burned. Of all the pages they could read, they found exactly what he needed. The Jewish man who saved his life through his cousin, now his wife, written down but never paid. The debt of honor still remain. God don't sleep when kings can't rest, turning pages to the best. Right before the gallows call, he makes the mighty memory fall. Who sought to lay hand on the king, the record made his conscience sting. Two men hanged upon a tree, but what of Mordecai's decree? Years had passed since that dark day when murder almost had its way. But tonight the books remember clear what was forgotten all these years. Not by chance they found that page right before Haman's rage would hang the man who saved the throne. God made sure the truth was known. Sleepless night turned history's tide, chronicles became the guide. What was written long ago now would save him from the foe. In the chronicles it was found how one man's faith stood its ground. The king's insomnia wasn't random fate, God was working never late. Written in the royal scroll, God remembers every soul. Mordecai went out that glorious day from the presence of the king in royal array. Blue and white, the colors of the crown, great crown of gold weighing him down. Fine linen garment, purple robe, the man who wouldn't bow now clothed in majesty from head to toe, where once he sat in sackcloth low. The city of Shushan rejoiced and sang, joy bells through the streets they rang, from ashes to a crown of gold. damned. The city cried for the man they thought had died. Remember him at the king's gate, wearing sackcloth, tempting fate, refusing to bow to Haman's pride. Now he walks on the royal side, blue and white like heaven's sky, purple robe that money can't buy, the golden crown upon his head, where gallows waited, honor instead. From the gate to the palace throne, God lifted up his faithful one. The city that was once confused now rejoiced at the good news. Shushan had been troubled sore when Haman's edict shook their core, but now they see God's mighty hand lifting Mordecai to stand. The streets filled with celebration, Jews and Gentiles, the whole nation saw that righteousness prevails when human wickedness fails. That purple garment told the story from suffering to glory. Blue and white declare the truth, God protects from nail and tooth. The great crown wasn't just for show, but so that everyone would know the man who stood when others bowed now walks among the royal crowd. And the city was glad that day, watching Mordecai's display. From sackcloth unto royal dress, God turned mourning to gladness. Blue and white and purple deep, promises that God will keep. Shushan rejoiced to see the sight, darkness turned to morning light. If you hold your peace when danger calls, while your people face these walls, deliverance will surely rise from another place through other eyes. But you and your father's house will fall, missing destiny's great call. The crown upon your head today was placed there for this very day. Who knows whether you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Every step has led you to this moment. Can't let this moment miss. For such a time as this, my child. For such a time as this. Mordecai sits in ashes, crying out while you're inside with fear and doubt. I could die if I go in, but silence now would be the sin. Your beauty opened palace doors, but not for golden palace floors. God has placed you where you stand to save his people with your hand. Don't think you'll escape because you're queen. God's purpose will be seen, if not through you, through someone else. But what about yourself? For the scepter that the king extends on and your courage now depends not just for you, but for them all. Stand up straight or watch them fall. Esther, child, lift up your eyes. Your people's hope in you now lies. This is why you wear that crown for such a time. Don't let them down. Every closed door that you faced before led you to this palace floor. Every tear and every pain prepared you for this moment's gain. Who knows why you're standing here? Maybe for this very year, when the trumpet sounds its call. Will you rise or will you fall? For such a time as this you came, not for glory, not for fame, but to stand when others can't, to be more than accident. Who knows, but God above, you're here for such a time. For love. And when Haman saw that Mordecai stood straight up with head held high, no bowing down, no bending knee, standing like an old oak tree, he was full of wrath, his face turned red, murder dancing in his head. This silent man, without a word, made a man's pride feel like a bird with broken wings. He was rough, burning wild, stirred by one who won't be filed. No kneeling, no pleasing, no compromise, just truth standing for his eyes. One man's faith shook the palace ground without making any sound. Every morning at the gate, Mordecai would calmly wait. Others fell upon their face, but he stood in holy grace. Why don't you bow? The servants cried. I bow to God alone, he replied. Day by day the tension grew, till Haman's rage broke through. Pride can't stand being ignored, especially by the man who serves the Lord. Power demands that all must bend, but faith won't bow, won't pretend. Haman thought, one Jew's not enough, I'll destroy all of their stuff. Every child of Abraham's line will pay for this defiance of mine. From one man's stand came genocide's plan, but he didn't know God's hidden hand was working through a queen inside to turn the deadly tide. But the Lord, he sees all schemes and dreams. seems nothing's hidden from his beams. Behind the wrath, beneath the hate, God was sealing Haman's fate. One man's courage lit the fire that would lift his people higher. When you stand for God alone, He'll protect you from the throne. Mordecai wouldn't bow that day, though it cost him, come what may. Sometimes standing is the prayer that shakes the darkness everywhere. He was wroth, but God was greater. Every Haman meets his later.